At first, she thought it was just the pipes. You know that sound old apartments make at night? That random knock, knock, scrape, like the building is breathing? Yeah, that's what she told herself. But here's the thing. It only happened at 2:13 a.m. Not 2:10, not 2:20, exactly 2:13. Every single night. And the first time she noticed it, she did what any normal person would do. She ignored it. Her name was Melissa, 28, worked remote. Just moved into a small apartment in a quiet part of the city. Nothing weird. Nothing creepy. Just a fresh start. At least, that's what she thought. Night 1. A faint tapping inside the wall. Night 2. Louder. Slower. Like something dragging. Night 3. She woke up already knowing it was 2:13. That's when it changed. The sound wasn't just in the wall anymore. It was closer. Like it had moved. Melissa sat up in bed, completely still, holding her breath. And then she heard it again. Tap, tap. Not behind the wall this time. Right under her floor. Now here's where it gets strange. Because Melissa lived on the ground floor. There was nothing underneath her apartment. No basement. No crawl space. Nothing. So she did something she would later regret. She got out of bed and followed the sound. And what she saw next, that's when she realized. This wasn't just noise. It was something trying to be heard. And the next morning, her neighbor would say something that made it even worse. Hey, this might sound crazy, but have you been hearing it too? Melissa froze. Not because of what her neighbor said, but because of how he said it. Low voice. Careful. Like he didn't want anyone else to hear. She forced a small laugh. You mean the pipes? He didn't smile. Just stared at her a second too long. Then shook his head. No, he said quietly. I mean the tapping. Now most people would brush that off. Old building. Weird noise. Move on. Melissa tried. But her heart? Yeah, it wasn't buying it. Because she hadn't told anyone about the tapping. No texts. No calls. Nothing. So how did he know? She swallowed. Yeah, I've heard something, she said. Probably nothing. Another pause. Then he leaned closer. It's always at 2:13, right? That's when her stomach dropped. Not late at night. Not around 2. 2:13, exactly. Melissa nodded slowly. And that's when he said something that made it worse. It didn't start with you. The hallway suddenly felt smaller. What do you mean? She asked. He glanced around, then lowered his voice. The last tenant, she heard it too. Melissa felt a chill. Used to. He nodded. She left. Fast. Didn't pack everything. Her mind raced. Coincidence. That's all, right? Then he added one more thing. Right before she left. She said the sound started answering her. Melissa blinked. Answering. He nodded. Like, it wasn't random anymore. Silence. That's when Melissa realized. This wasn't normal. And that night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., she made a decision. Instead of ignoring it, she was going to respond. And the moment she did, something answered back immediately. 2:12 a.m. Melissa sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the clock. Her apartment was completely silent. Too silent. No TV. No phone. No distractions. Just her waiting. 2:13. Tap. Her body went stiff. Tap, tap. It was back. Same rhythm. Same place. Right under the floor. Her chest tightened. Every instinct told her to stay still, to ignore it. But she didn't. Because now she needed to know. Melissa slowly leaned forward, her feet touching the cold floor. The sound stopped. Just like that. Silence. She froze. Hello, she whispered. Nothing. She almost laughed. What am I doing? She thought. Then, tap. Right beneath her. Closer than before. Melissa swallowed hard. Then did something she knew she'd regret. She tapped back. Tap, tap. The sound stopped again. For a full 5 seconds, nothing happened. And then, tap, tap. Her exact pattern. Her breathing hitched. No way, she whispered. Her heart was pounding now. This wasn't random. This wasn't pipes. Something was copying her. Testing her. Melissa hesitated, then tapped again. Slower this time. Tap, tap. A pause. Longer this time. Like whatever it was thinking. And then, tap, tap. Perfect match. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't just noise. It was communication. But here's where it gets worse. Because the next time it tapped, Melissa hadn't moved yet. She hadn't made a sound. But the tapping came anyway. Tap, tap, tap. A new pattern. One she didn't recognize. One she didn't start. And somehow, deep down, she knew exactly what it meant. Something wasn't just responding anymore. It was trying to lead. trying to teach her something. And when Melissa finally understood what it was asking her to do, she whispered, "No, I'm not doing that." But the tapping didn't stop. It got louder, faster, more urgent, like whatever was beneath her was getting impatient. And when she finally gave in, she made the biggest mistake of her life. Melissa pressed her palms against her ears. It didn't help. The tapping wasn't just sound anymore. It felt like it was inside her head. Tap, 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 tap. Faster, sharper, urgent. "Stop," she whispered. It didn't. Her eyes locked on the floor. Right there, the exact spot. There was a thin line in the wood, something she hadn't noticed before. A seam. Her stomach turned. No, no way. Then, tap, tap, louder, direct, like it was pointing. Melissa slowly slid off the bed. Every step felt wrong, like she was crossing a line she couldn't uncross. She knelt down. Her fingers hovered, then touched the floor. Cold, colder than everything else. She traced the line and felt it. A tiny groove, like a handle. Her breath caught. "Don't do it," she whispered to herself. But then the tapping changed. Tap, tap. Slower now. Waiting. Patient. Like it knew she would give in. Melissa squeezed her eyes shut. Then grabbed the edge. Pulled. At first nothing. Then, creak. The wood shifted. A dark gap opened. Cold air rushed out. Stale. Heavy. Wrong. "There's no basement," she whispered. But something was down there. She leaned back, heart racing. And then, it stopped tapping. Completely. Silence. For one long second. Two. Then she heard it. Not tapping. Breathing. Slow. Uneven. Right beneath her. Melissa froze. Her mind screamed, close it now. But she couldn't move. Because something moved in the darkness. A shape. Barely visible. And then, a voice. Soft. Broken. Finally, Melissa's blood ran cold. Because somehow, she knew that voice. Not from memory. From something deeper. And before she could react, the voice whispered again. "You took long enough." And that's when she realized. Whatever was down there had been waiting for her. Melissa couldn't breathe. "You took long enough." The voice felt too close. Like it wasn't coming from below anymore. "No, no, that's not possible," she whispered. Because she had never opened that panel before. So how could anything be waiting for her? The darkness shifted. Slow. Something was moving closer. Melissa pushed herself back. "Who are you?" Silence. Then, dragging. A slow, scraping sound coming up toward her. Her chest tightened. "Stay back." The voice returned. "We tried to warn you." Melissa froze. "We?" Her mind flashed to the neighbor. The last tenant. "You're not alone down there," she whispered. A weak laugh came from the darkness. "No one is alone." The air turned cold. Heavy. Wrong. Melissa turned toward the panel. She needed to close it. Now. But before she could move, a hand shot out. Fast. Grabbing the edge. Melissa screamed. The hand was pale, too pale. Shaking. Like it barely had strength. Then a face appeared. A woman. Eyes hollow. Lips dry. "You hear it too, don't you?" she whispered. Melissa couldn't speak. This was her. The last tenant. "She didn't leave," Melissa said. The woman shook her head fast. "No, it keeps us." Her eyes suddenly widened. "Fear. Real fear. Don't let it hear you," she whispered. Melissa's voice cracked. "Let what?" "Tap." Melissa froze. That sound. It wasn't below anymore. Tap, tap. Slow. Deliberate. Behind her. Inside the apartment. Melissa turned. Heart pounding. And that's when she realized. The thing in the floor wasn't the only thing listening. And something else had just entered the room. Melissa turned slowly. Nothing was there. Same room. Same silence. But the tapping didn't stop. Tap, tap, tap. Not from one place anymore. From everywhere. Walls. Ceiling. Floor. Even behind her. "What is this?" she whispered. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Melissa panicked. "Hey." Her voice echoed back. A second later. "Hey." Her stomach dropped. That wasn't an echo. That was copying. Then. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Moving across her living room. But she couldn't see anything. "Stop," she whispered. A voice answered instantly. 213. Right beside her ear. Melissa froze. That voice was clearer now. Stronger. Almost human. "You heard us," it said. A pause. "Now it hears you." Behind her, the woman screamed from the floor opening. "Don't let it see you." The lights snapped back on. Melissa looked up and saw it, standing across the room, shaped like her. Same outline, but wrong. It tilted its head, studying her, then smiled. But Melissa hadn't smiled. It lifted its hand and tapped. Tap, tap. Her exact rhythm. Perfect. Then it spoke, in her voice. I learned. Melissa's knees weakened. It wasn't copying anymore. It was becoming. It stepped forward and matched her step exactly. Mirror perfect. One step closer. Then, you can go now, it whispered. Melissa froze. Go where? Her eyes dropped to the open floor panel, the darkness below, and she understood. This wasn't an attack. This was a replacement. And one of them was not leaving the apartment. Melissa stared at the open floor, then at it, standing in her living room, looking like her, but not her. Her mind raced. There was no way out. Front door? Behind it. Floor? Already taken. Walls. Listening. The thing tilted its head again, waiting. Then it spoke softly. You don't belong here anymore. Melissa's throat tightened. This is my home. A pause. Then it smiled wider. So was she. The words hit like ice. The last tenant. Melissa looked down at the floor opening. The woman was still there, shaking her head violently. Don't go down, she whispered. That's how it keeps you. The tapping started again, but now it was organized, like a countdown. Tap, tap, tap. All around her. The copy stepped closer. Every movement matched perfectly. Melissa backed up, but it mirrored her instantly. No, she whispered. Stop copying me. It stopped. For the first time. Silence. Then, I don't copy anymore, it said in her voice. I replace. The lights flickered violently. The apartment felt like it was collapsing inward. The woman below screamed one last time. IT needs you to take your place. Melissa's eyes widened. Wait, what place? Too late. The tapping stopped completely. Everything stopped. Then the copy stepped forward and pointed, down at the open floor. Then at her. A simple message. Choose. Melissa looked at the woman trapped below, then at the thing wearing her face, and understood the truth. One of them had to stay. The other had to become it. Her breathing broke. And as the darkness below began to rise again, Melissa made her choice. She stepped back, toward the floor. The copy smiled. Exactly like her. Good, it whispered. And the last thing Melissa heard was the tapping starting again. From inside her own mouth.